Welcome back to New Rockstars, I'm Erik Voss, and Marvel's What If has introduced us to an MCU multiverse full of limitless possibilities, none of which Tony Stark will ever live to see. Half of this season's first episodes could not wait to stop the heart of the man who just got proof that he has one, the only Avenger in the series to meet his maker in every single one of his appearances, even from the kind of flesh wound he used to be able to walk away from with a quick spray of silly string. So how have we now seen 5 Iron Man deaths in the MCU, but 0 for Croker's Supreme Uncle Ben? Did the Watcher just really hate Tony's Prima Nocta joke? Well, we should ask the one what if character to die even more than him, Christine Palmer, whose death was considered an unchangeable absolute point in time, a new term that this series introduced to the MCU lexicon. And by this logic, could Tony Stark's death be an absolute point? Not just in our universe, but in every reality within the expanding Marvel Multiverse. Does his martyrdom play such a linchpin role in the next generation of Marvel mythology, or does his existence just really piss off the wrong Nexus being? We know Tony Stark's death in Avengers Endgame was necessary. It of course ended the Battle of Earth, it saved us from Thanos, and it's now forcing a younger generation to step it up and stop handing off your glasses to just anybody. But ever since, many of us have questioned the necessity of Tony's death. Now yes, we're big boys enough to know that Robert Downey Jr. was ready to move on, and Endgame did a great job of setting up and paying off Tony's sacrifice play. But at the same time, the genius billionaire who discovered freaking time travel in a man cave with only one Morgan could have found any number of ways, as he sassed to America's ass, cut the wire. Like better shielding to withstand cosmic radiation, or instead of snapping all 6 stones and frying yourself, go it alone with just the Mind Stone like Ultron did and make Thanos balanced as all things should be. Or my preferred option, just use the Space Stone to portal behind Thanos and the Reality Stone to erase his booty hole and then just walk away and let nature take its course. But then, after we learned that all MCU events were scripted according to a sacred timeline overseen by He Who Remains, there is some evidence that Kang the Conqueror could have been in cahoots with other cryptic pajama wearers like the Ancient One or the Watcher to manipulate Tony Stark via Doctor Strange's mind games to believe that a sacrifice play was the only way to victory. And in this season of What If, as Tony Stark's destiny from cave to super secret boy band to cool but arguably unnecessary suicide was codified by the Watcher as, quote, the age of Iron Man, while every other multiversal wrinkle seems to demand a blood sacrifice from the Man of Iron. In episode 3, he's the first murder victim in Hank Pym's anti-Avengers killing spree, face planting with an undignified mouthful of Randy's donuts. In episode 5, he gets tackled by zombies on Golden Gate Bridge, and then is denied any possible salvation from the survivor's Mind Stone reversion plan by Hope Van Dyne lobbing off his head and feeding it to one of her giant ants. In episode 6, one of those vital organs in the armpit region just couldn't take Killmonger's spear longer than 40 seconds, somehow without bleeding a drop. And then episode 8 beats up on him again as the bonehead who unleashed Ultron on the world just to show him begging for his life and having his pacifism project call him a pea-brain before offing him.
You don't have to do this. I made you for peace.
It's evolution. Only a primitive mind would fail to see the distinction, which is why you have to die.
So let's roll those back.
Stark.
Tony.
It's hard not to see this as personal, especially when you consider that Steve Rogers, T'Challa, Thor, Peter Parker, Scott Lang, Clint Barton, Natasha Romanoff, Stephen Strange, Captain Marvel, and Bruce Banner all avoided on-screen deaths at least once on this show. Now, I could see the possibility that He Who Remains or another Kang variant would see someone like Tony Stark, a man who unlocked the secrets of time travel without another variant stepping into his universe to share notes with, as a major threat to Kang's time empire. If Tony Stark were left alive, it would only be a matter of time for him to follow in Kang's footsteps, build on his own quantum navigation tech that he devised in Endgame, and eventually hunt Kang down throughout the time stream. Kang, a scientist born in the 31st century, likely needed Tony Stark to die a premature death to leave behind incomplete quantum research that only Nathaniel Richards, a millennium later, would be able to dust off and exploit to his advantage, where no other scientist during that 1,000 years could. Now look folks, here in the Blue Dungeon, we got some hot lights that just get hotter when I'm not really certain whether something's really an Easter egg. So yeah, sometimes I can get a bit sweaty. Well, luckily, native deodorant not only keeps me from permanently funkifying the whole Blue Dungeon, their deodorant is aluminum free and paraben free. It's made from familiar and simple ingredients that you know, like coconut oil and shea butter. I have these scents: eucalyptus mint, charcoal, and Earl Grey and mulberry. Eucalyptus mint is just like fresh. It's like rolling through the freshest garden patch of the world. You don't actually want to do that because, you know, bugs and thorns and stuff. So just use this. But like I say, I also really love the Earl Grey mulberry. It's like waking up and bathing in a giant teacup. But today I use the charcoal. And like, no regrets. I feel like a man. Which most days I just feel like a widow boy. And I'm loving it. It's not too sticky, it dries quickly, great for when you're in a rush and just needing to slap it on. Native stays all day, even after exercise or after a full day of work. And they have a ton of different kinds of scents, including limited edition fall scents inspired by coffee house scents. Native also offers a plastic-free version of their deodorant using more sustainable packaging. They also have amazing body washes and toothpaste. And last year they donated over $2 million worth of product to Hope and Comfort, a nonprofit organization to help deliver health and confidence to those in need, and that is amazing. So be sure to check out Native's new limited edition Coffee House collection. 3 deodorants are normally $36, but if you use our link and code Rockstars, you'll get them for $24. That's 33% off with code Rockstars. You can also get 20% off any body wash or toothpaste. So jump on that, and thanks again to Native for sponsoring this episode. But how exactly does the logic of absolute points even work according to What If? Like, we didn't even know the concept of absolute points even existed as a rule until What If episode 4, when the Ancient One explained,
her death is an absolute point in time.
Absolute.
Unchangeable, unmovable. Without her death, you would never have defeated Dormammu and become the Sorcerer Supreme. You cannot reverse an absolute point.
To which we all responded, sure, but we know of a universe where Stephen Strange does all that without Christine Palmer having to do anything more than let Strange grow up her face a bit and then safely exit stage right from the movie. She doesn't have to die. So Christine Palmer's death is only an absolute point in the universe that episode of What If took place in, not all realities. So moving over to Tony Stark, his death in Endgame does follow the same logic as Christine Palmer's, because Doctor Strange also used the Time Stone repeatedly, fast-forwarding 14,605 times, to conclude that there was only one path to victory, a path that he claimed, at least via non-verbal hand signals, required Tony Stark's death. So the way Doctor Strange used the Time Stone to exhaust every possible alternative for Christine, so too may he have done for Tony Stark, and found that Tony's inevitable sacrifice play was an absolute point. And from this, I think we conclude that yes, Tony Stark's death was likely what the MCU's own rules consider to be an absolute point. But beyond that, something even more significant, because unlike Christine Palmer, Tony Stark's death seems absolute in every universe, not just one. Why? Is Kang just snuffing out the competition? Maybe, but also something interesting happens when Tony Stark dies in a universe. It seems to clear the way for villains like Episode 3 Loki, Episode 5 Thanos, Episode 6 Killmonger, and Episode 8 Ultron to rise, and for new hero alignments to form to face them on a broadening multiversal front. So far, we've gotten an Avengers co-captain by Steve Rogers and Carol Danvers, Black Panther, Spider-Man, and Scott Lang's head, Shuri, Pepper Potts, and the Dora Milaje, and the Watcher in Doctor Strange. When he was alive, Tony Stark's gravity pulled everything around him so strongly that other characters are really trapped in his orbit. But now without him, new spheres of influence are emerging and new character combinations are arising. The true secret agenda of What If, and the real-life Watchers pulling its strings, is to acclimate Marvel viewers to a multiverse that does not have to revolve around Tony. Tony Stark must die so that other Marvel heroes learn to fight on a multiversal battleground. And without the pressure of a one-day Tony Stark reincarnation still having to be the future of the franchise, Marvel Studios is now more liberated to bring back the Tony Stark character in whatever weird or experimental ways they want, and no longer feel the pressure to live up to Robert Downey Jr.'s version of the character. In the meantime, for viewers to learn to let go of the specific RDJ incarnation of that frontman that we've loved 3,000, it will help to watch him kick the bucket upwards of 3,000 times, as much as it may sting. Support New Rockstars by checking out our merch options at newrockstarsmerch.com. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at EA Voss. Follow and subscribe to New Rockstars. Thanks for watching. Bye.